Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 21, the last and final stage of the Giro d'Italia, brought to you by Bicycle, the largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes with over 20,000 high-quality pre-owned and refurbished bikes available. Bicycle connects the sellers and the buyers to make the process of buying and selling bikes safe, easy, and convenient. Sellers, remember to use the code Butterfly Effect 24 for 0% seller fee. Now let's get into today's finishing stage here at the Giro d'Italia in 2024. We're going to see the celebration here at the beginning. Tadej Pogacar with all his teammates up there, 8 riders in total. They'll finish with a whole squad as they'll celebrate bringing Tadej Pogacar into the Giro d'Italia, his first victory here for the Slovenian. You see them all up there lined up as they're doing the pictures. Then we know that Tadej Pogacar, not only will he take the pink jersey here at the Giro d'Italia, but of course he has the KOM jersey too. We start looking at the team classification back here. That's AG2R Decathlon as they're all lined up there celebrating here early on this stage 21. We start looking back at the sprint leaders. That's Johnny Milan wearing the sprint leaders jersey there as his team's up there, and they got 8 riders too. We start looking a little further back. What else is left here to celebrate early in this stage 21? Well, of course, it's the youth jersey, and we'll see Bahrain victorious up there, missing a few guys. But Tiberi's done a fine job here, finishing 5th on the general classification, and he'll take the youth jersey when it's all said and done. Now it's going to be a parade all the way into the coast. With about 110 miles, they'll reach the coast. Then they start heading back to Rome. And the action will start picking up when they start getting back into the town here. And they got about 82, 85 kilometers to go. We're going to see Pozzovivo. He's the Italian rider here. And this sounds like this will be his last Giro d'Italia. So the peloton is going to let Pozzovivo go up the road. And let's follow Pozzovivo here for a minute so we can find out what the last 1.2 kilometers looks like on today's sprint stage here for stage 21 of the Giro d'Italia. As Pozzovivo's leaving the peloton, he's going to come into the first left turn, about, we'll call it 1.1 kilometers. It's a little bit of a straightaway, and then we start hitting the chicane with about 600, 500 meters. It's basically left, right, coming all the way out to a right bend. Now, right bend's going to exit with 200 meters. We see Pozzovivo, though, as he starts getting on the cobblestones, we know it's going to be an exciting finish, because anytime you're going through a chicane and then you come out 200 meters to go to the line, straight to the line, as we see Pozzovivo there celebrating and saluting the crowd here. He's done many, many Giro d'Italias, and this rider's been a fine rider throughout his whole career for Bardiani, so he's going to finish his last final passage here with celebration here at the Giro d'Italia stage 21. Now the peloton starts getting exciting. We're hitting the first lap. There's 8 laps here, 9.3 kilometers in length. And once we see 4 riders going up the road, we see Ewan Kostu from Arkea Samsic up there, Alex Bodine from AG2R, Mikel Honore from EF Education, and Marcel Lucy up there from Bardiani. That's 4 riders, but their gap is never that much. 30 seconds was the most I saw from watching on the Chesterfield. And with 6 kilometers to go, we're going to see Tim Miller, the sprinter. He's won 2 stages here at the Giro d'Italia. And you know he wants a 3rd victory, so you see him hop on his bike. His left foot there slips off the pedal. He's going straight at the crowd. The crowd there's running out of the street as Tim Miller gets his bike back under control. Needs a little more cyclocross skills, I guess. But the fan get out of the way. Tim Miller gives a little smile to the camera. Oops, sometimes that happens, Tim Miller. I've been there. I've done that. Now we see Tim Miller get on the back of the peloton, and everything's status quo. 4 riders up the front, 20-second gap. Peloton's being led back there by Two Door Cycling. Trek is on the front. Albacine de Koenig's on the front. And you know Soudal Quickstep's on the front because Tim Miller is back in the peloton. With that gap always set at around 20 seconds, we know for sure it's going to be a field sprint if some of the big hitters don't hit out somewhere with about 3 kilometers to go and add a little bump in the road on the last lap before you come into that chicane with under 1 kilometer to go. Now we get into 2 laps to go. We see the brake is still out there, but the gap's getting low. Then when we're on the 2nd to go lap, there's a crash at the back. It's Storer back there from Two Door Cycling that went down. He's sitting 10th on the general classification, but his teammates are all passing right by him because they got a sprinter, Alberto Danesi. And Storer there has a 2-minute gap before he gets knocked out of the top 10. So Storer is on his own. The peloton's rounding up the 4 riders in the front as Storer's trying to chase full gas back there for Two Door Cycling. Now everything's back together as we're coming into the last lap. Just before it, we're going to see that Trek is coming up the right side there, and it's all the GC teams on the front. Once they cross the line with 1 lap to go, that's 9.3 kilometers to go. We see Lidl Trek there, and they got 2 riders at the front. One of them's Gabriel Xavier, but then when we look a little further back in the peloton, Johnny Milan's in trouble. See him getting on the radio there on the right side of the picture. He's in the middle of the peloton. We look at the back of the peloton now. He's pulled all the way over to the right side. He's got his bike up against the fence. He's going to take his computer off his bike. And now 13 cars are going to pass the little Trek sprinter here that's won 3 stages of the Giro d'Italia already. And you know he's going to be frustrated. He's resting his elbow up on the fence, and there we see 13 cars pass by, a couple motorcycle vehicles, and Johnny Milan still waiting. Finally, we see the little Trek car pull up fast. Johnny Milan getting ready to jump on his bike, but first Johnny Milan's got to put his computer on. Johnny, what are you thinking? You don't need a computer for one lap to do at the Giro d'Italia. And the peloton right now is up at the front. They're going full gas. They're 800 meters in front of the Italian sprinter here for Lidl Trek. As he finally realizes that he can't get his computer on, we see him jump on his bike and he puts his race computer in his back pocket while the peloton's going full gas. Now we start looking at Johnny Milan back there chasing. He's first getting some help from Visma Lease bike. Other cars had passed him and left him with no help, but Visma Lease bike are going to help out the sprinter from Lidl Trek. They're going full gas at the front of the peloton, and it's all GC guys up there, GC teams, going full gas, trying to keep Bora Hansgrohe, Danny Martinez in good, safe position. Of course, Ineos is at the front with Geraint Thomas and Tadej Pogacar, UAE team members. He's got his team on the front with Johnny Milan back there going full. Now Johnny Milan starts catching some of the guys who already got caught up in the crash just before we came into the last lap. He comes up to Storer. He's like, bye-bye. Storer looks like a pedestrian walking on the side of the road. Johnny Milan's going so fast. Now we'll come up to 4.5 kilometers to go. The back of the peloton there is Johnny Milan's coming up to the back. It's Gabriel Xavier. He's waiting for him. As he sees the Aero train waiting for him, Johnny Milan hops on his wheel. The Aero train brings him into the back of the peloton. Now we go up to the front of the peloton at 4.5 kilometers. It was still the GC teams up there really pulling the peloton along. But now we look further back at the back end of the peloton. There's 6 Lidl Trek teammates back there. 5 teammates for Johnny Milan riding in front of him. It's his whole lead-out team there. Gabriel Xavier is up there. Dan Uhl is first in line. Then we know it's going to be Stuyvens, Ed Toon, Simone Consoni, Johnny Milan, and Gabriel Xavier is starting to drop off the back. Is leaving 5 guys up there going up the right side of the peloton. Now we're coming in to about 2.5 kilometers ago. This section here is called the Big Squeeze. Why is it called the Big Squeeze? Well, look over there at Danny Martinez. Danny Martinez is on the left side. Tadej Pogacar, he wants to do the field sprint here, because if I take you back to his interview, he said it'd be a 10 out of 10 Giro here, a perfect Giro, if they can get Milano a stage victory here on stage 21 of the Giro. So Tadej Pogacar is at the front. Danny Martinez, Bora Hansgrohe is all the way on the left. He starts coming from the left to the right as the road's starting to come up. Lidl Trek's back there about 2/3 of the peloton, but they're solidly in the peloton now. Now, if I bring you all the way back to when Johnny Milan had his first bike problem, the Eurosport commentators, Robbie McEwen, and we're talking about Sean Kelly, the king, they said it's impossible to come back. Impossible to come back. Robbie, I was there. I was your teammate when we were riding for Lotto, and I think it was stage 6 of 2006 Tour de France, but you could tell me for sure which one it was. You flatted late in the stage. I don't know if it was 10 kilometers ago, but it was super late, and Robbie McEwen made it back on. If we look back in the later stages here at the Giro d'Italia, other riders have flatted late and found their ways back on, even when Sean Kelly had said many times it's impossible to get back on. Well, Johnny Milan's back on. Tadej Pogacar is at the front of the field. Danny Martinez is coming over in the Big Squeeze from the left to the right. Once he does, it's two-door cycling. I'm going to take a guess here. I say it's Robin. Robin basically takes a punch fist there to the hip there on Danny Martinez, and then Tadej Pogacar is going to get the squeeze put on him. It's almost time for the Tour de France to get a race from Tadej Pogacar's schedule right here as he holds up the bike with a big bump on the right shoulder there from Albacete de Koenig. Tadej Pogacar holds the bike up. Then Danny Martinez gets bumped from another Albacete de Koenig rider, and we're just under 2.5 kilometers to go. As we get up over this hill, Tadej Pogacar takes over the front of the peloton. He's got Rui Oliveira and Milano directly on his wheel. So 3 riders from UAE team members got control of the peloton, but we're coming just under about 2 kilometers to go. And Lidl Trek is flying up the left side of the peloton, doing full gas. That's Stuyvens up there. He is amazing. Whatever they're paying Stuyvens, pay him more, because this guy earns his money every day here, every sprint stage for sure. The Giro d'Italia. Now Stuyvens is coming up the right side. They're going to take over the front with about 1.9, 1.7 kilometers to go as they fly into this left turn. This is an amazing job from Stuyvens, who's done fine work. It was Dan Uhl that brought him through the peloton. Stuyvens took over. Now Stuyvens is going through the left at the front. As he comes out of the front, Stuyvens sits up, looks back. This is the way you want to ride the front. You always have to look back and make sure your sprinter, Johnny Milan's on. So Stuyvens sees his sprinter. He starts accelerating on the front, and Johnny Milan takes Bert van Leeuwenberg over to the side of the curb. Bert Van Leeuwenberg, it's his fault, really tried to bump on Johnny Milan. Johnny Milan was like, I don't think so. Takes him all the way from the left to the right over there to the curb. And of course, Bert Van Leeuwenberg's have to lock it up. Now Lidl Trek have 4 riders on the front. But just after this happened, Bert Van Leeuwenberg wants some revenge on somebody. So it's Ed Plankert, Albacine de Koenig. He's getting on the radio, which means his head's coming down so he can talk on the radio, right? As his head goes down, Bert Van Leeuwenberg takes Ed Plankert straight over to the left so he can open up a gap because he's got Tim Miller somewhere back there, but a little bit MIA. Now we start looking at that same moment. There's another rider getting some abuse back there from Albacine de Koenig, because the rider on the right there, well, that's Rui Oliveira. Rui Oliveira is trying to go out to the left because he's got Pogacar on the left trying to take Rui Oliveira and Milano out. As Rui Oliveira pushes all the way hard on the rider on his left, there's riders getting bumped all over. We're 1.6 kilometers to go. Now we're coming up to about 1.2 kilometers to go. Stuyven's still on the front. He's on the right side of the road, but there's a left turn coming up at 1.1 kilometer to go. So Stuyven's goes hard to the left. That's shaking the whole field so no one can pass on the left side. Stuyven's is an ace lead out man here for Johnny Milan. He knows what to do. He goes hard left, then he swings back hard right. That'll mess up the flow from the back of the peloton so no one could come around Lidl Trek train as they're setting up for this next left turn. They come out of the left. It's 900 meters to go. Stuyven's day is just about done here as the Lidl Trek rider pulls off, but when he starts to pull off at 800 meters to go, he's moving from the right to the left. This is where things start to go wrong for Lidl Trek. Well, they went wrong a little bit further back there when Johnny Milan flatted, but I'll explain that later after the stage. And as we see Stuyven's going to the left, Ed Toons makes a big mistake. He starts to follow Stuyven's to the left, and that opens up so that when Stuyven's pulls off, Ed Toons stuck in the middle of the lane, which opened up the right side. Now we got chaos happening again, and we're at 800 meters to go. We got, of course, Albacine de Koenig coming up the right side now on Lidl Trek. We got Rui Oliveira and Milano trying to come up the left. That means Ed Toons is getting boxed in right now, which means Simone Consoni's getting boxed in, which means Johnny Milan's getting boxed in. And we look further back, Tim Miller's back there, but they've gotten swarmed. Now we're coming into the last final chicane here, starting about 500 meters to go. Stuyven's out of the picture. Ed Toons starts giving a little head nod like this. He's shaking his head to the left. He's telling Simone Consoni back there that he's going to go left, but then he throws his elbow. Now I'm all confused. What is it, Ed Toons? Are you done? Are you finished? Or are you going to take the riders to the left? Well, he's not done. He pushes everyone over to the left. He starts finding an exit there with Rui Oliveira still on the front of the peloton. Ed Toons has found a nice little exit as he moves over to the left. He's done. Simone Consoni's dropped off, though, like third position as we're coming into about 250 meters to go. Chimolai's on the front. Rui Oliveira was first there. Now Chimolai's starting to take over. And as we look behind Chimolai, that's Tim Van Dyke there. Visma Lisa bike. Caden Groves is there. But Simone Consoni's been dropped off right near by Caden Groves. So Simone Consoni comes straight over and bumps Caden Groves. The same time he's bumping Caden Groves going into the inside, the last bend here, the last corner of the Giro d'Italia. Simone Consoni's putting pressure on Caden Groves. He wins the battle. While that was happening, Johnny Milan's putting pressure on Caleb Ewan. Can you imagine this big monster leaning over hard on you from the outside as you're coming into this right bend? Well, Johnny Milan wins the battle. Caleb Ewan has to back up. He's locked right on Simone Consoni's wheel. We got Chimolai still leading out, but now we're coming just exiting this bend, and we look at Tim Miller, who followed and was solidly on the back wheel of Johnny Milan. He's starting his sprint at about 225 meters to go. But if I back the film all the way up with Polza Vivo, you guys know the turn exits with 200, and then it's cobblestones. Tim Miller's flying around the outside there of Johnny Milan. Johnny Milan latches on to Tim Miller's wheel, but Chimolai at the front starting to blow with the Movistar rider pulling off hard left. Tim Miller comes around the left side there of Chimolai, but that blocks up and holds up just a second Johnny Milan as he can't follow Tim Miller. Tim Miller goes hard all the way from the left to the right. This is a clean turn. This is exactly how you do it. Nobody's accelerating. He's not putting Milano into the fencing like he did on earlier sprint stages because everyone at the front starting to blow as we see Tim Miller all the way on the right side fencing with 150 meters to go. Johnny Milan's found his back wheel again with 100 meters to go, though. He's got a gap. Tim Miller on Johnny Milan, 50 meters to go. Tim Miller looks back over his shoulder. See ya in the douches. He sits up for a third victory here at the Giro d'Italia over the Italian rider from Lidl Trek, Johnny Milan. Caden Groves, whose team kept him at the front throughout the whole last lap here, did a fantastic job. Caden Groves will round out the podium here for third on the stage. This was a fantastic finish right here. But when I break down the tactics, when you really want to talk about what happened, yes, Tim Miller's move coming around with 225 meters to go, and the ability that he's coming over Chimolai from Movistar as he's dropping back, holding up Johnny Milan so he can't get on his wheel. That was fantastic, but that's not what really caused the problems. We got to go all the way back. First, Johnny Milan taking the time to put your computer on your bike and then in your back pocket after you had the bike change. That was ridiculous. Second, when we look at Gabriel Xavier, man, Gabriel Xavier, whatever they're paying you, you need a raise too, because you are money here on today's stage with 4.5 kilometers to be back there for Johnny Milan. But the big problem was when they had 6 Liddell Trek riders back there. That is where the problem began right here, because one of them was Simone Consoni, the other one was Ed Toons. Those 2 riders are his last 2 lead out guys. They should have stayed at the front 100% the whole time and let Stuyvens and Dan Uhl and Gabriel Xavier bring Johnny Milan back up to the front. Now, they didn't have Baggioli and they didn't have Juan Pedro Lopez because they did the bulk of the work early when they were chasing the 4 chasers. So it's not possible for those guys to help out. But if you save Simone Consoni and Ed Toons, they'd have been a little bit fresher. Now we take you into 800 meters. The next big mistake, Ed Toons. You can't follow Stuyvens when he goes left. Once you followed him left, that opened up the road so that riders could come up the right and come up the left side on you, and you were already tired because you went back there to get Johnny Milan. Then the next problem, once we come into 250 meters to go, the last and final bend here of the Giro d'Italia of 2024, Simone Consoni, your legs were done. They should have never sent you back there to get Johnny Milan, because when you're looking at the ability of Simone Consoni, he has speed, not power. Stuyvens has power. Ed Toons has power and some speed. Simone has just speed, not power. I've never seen Simone Consoni go back there and do some amazing pull. What he has is amazing acceleration, and he had an open window of opportunity coming around that last 225 meter bends that Simone Consoni needed to jump on the pedals and accelerate with turbo, but they used them all up when he went back there to get Johnny Milan. That was the mistake that Liddell Trek did. You should have never sent Ed Toons. You should have never sent Simone Consoni back there, because that used up his legs. And of course, Johnny Milan, I'm sure he was a little bit scrubbed on form doing the big chase back there the whole time. But Johnny, don't take the time to put your computer on your bike when the peloton's already 800 meters up the road. Lucky for you, Visma Lease Bike were friendly with their cars, and then you got in the caravan, were able to come back, because second on the stage was marvelous. And when we're talking about the Eurosport commentators, Robin McEwen, Sean Kelly, come on, it's not impossible for a rider like Johnny Milan to get back on with 9 kilometers to go. I remember doing Tour of California when it was Peter Sagan. He flatted with 4 kilometers to go, got back onto the field and won the field spread at Tour of California. That's not the Giro d'Italia, of course, but that's 4 kilometers, not 9.3 kilometers to go. So any rider of this kind of quality like Johnny Milan is certainly going to get back in the peloton. It was a fantastic 2024 Giro here, guys. Every stage was amazing. Tadej Pogacar, afterwards, his teammate, when we're talking Rafael Majka, he's in the interview there from Alberto Contador, and Contador says exactly what we're all thinking. If Tadej Pogacar is to win the Tour de France, Rafael Majka will Tadej Pogacar go do the Vuelta a España. Of course, Rafael Majka won't tell us, but I'll tell you up here on the Butterfly Effect, if the Slovenian wins the double here at the Giro, he's got under his belt already. If he goes to the Tour and he can win against Jonas Vingegaard, Primoz Roglic, and Remco Evenepoel, you know you got to go to Spain. It's going to be the trifecta in 2024. If Tadej Pogacar can win the Tour de France, that's a big F, because we got one rider here, Primoz Roglic, that's been on fantastic form. If it wasn't for the crash at the Basque Country, you guys are like, he wasn't on fantastic form. Primoz Roglic was amazing at the Basque Country. There's no doubt about it. That Slovenian was higher ranked than Tadej Pogacar before the win here at the Giro d'Italia, and now Tadej Pogacar has moved into the 24th position all time, 1 spot ahead of Primoz Roglic, but that doesn't mean Primoz Roglic is done. That just means Primoz Roglic has had a lot of bad luck. The 24th Tour de France is going to be amazing. Let's get some luck, hopefully, for Jonas Vingegaard to come in there 100%. Remco Evenepoel, we know you're going to be 100%, and Primoz Roglic, you're going to be so good at the Tour de France that Tadej Pogacar is going to have to think whether or not if he's going to be able to win the Tour de France when he gets into this year's July. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. The Butterfly Effect is coming. Beyond the Coverage is still to come this week, so like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition somewhere, sometime real soon.